Major funding for these broadcasts is made possible by grants from Capital One Bank and Chase Commercial Term Lending, the Witkoff Group, New York Community Bank, M&T Bank, Greenberg Traurig, Perfect Building Maintenance, Genova Burns. Additional funding is provided by grants from AKA Hotels, Corman Communities, Aerial Property Advisors, AVR Realty Company, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, Bank Leumi USA, Briarwood Organization, CBRE, Citizens Bank, Colliers International NYC, CPEX Real Estate Services, Cushman & Wakefield, Customers Bank, DDG, Dime Savings Bank of Williamsburg, Fisher Brothers, First Nationwide Title Agency, Flushing Bank, Foley & Lardner, Friedman, Handler Real Estate Organization, HAP Investment Developers, Investors Bank, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, James Orphanides, Chairman USRealty.com, Kilroy Architectural Windows, New York's Window Company, Madison Realty Capital, Massey-Knackle Realty Services, Matone Group, Mercantile Commerce Bank, N.A., Meridian Capital Group, Newmark Grubb Knight Frank, Newbanks, MHP Real Estate Services, Optimum Window Manufacturing Corp., People's United Bank, Rosewood Realty Group, SJP Properties, Sterling National Bank, Sterling Risk, Stonehenge Partners, TD Bank, Terra CRG, the Continuum Company, the CUNY TV Foundation, the Moynihan Group, and these friends.
I have no idea why somebody wants to be an entertainer. It's so hard. A comedian? A singer? A songwriter? Musician, singer-songwriter? It must be something crazy. It wasn't in the sky. But today I partially assembled this group of professionals who say, I want to be an entertainer. My guests today include Harvard-educated, summa cum laude, 28-year-old, 143 pounds and, maybe correct, Harrison Greenbaum, okay, a young performer from Arkansas who is a singer, an actress, Jen Malenke? Malenke. From New Jersey, currently living in North Bergen, New Jersey, originally from Wayne, New Jersey. We have a singer, songwriter, semi-songwriter in that.
Well, I do songwriting, but saxophonist,
okay,
jazz
and
musician.
saxophonist, jazz. What's his name? Danny Bacher. Okay, I remember.
Bacher, actually.
Bacher. Okay.
Bacher's
and last but not least,
he really did his research.
Okay, the person who originally was supposed to be my co-producer today, executive producer, who arrived late. Okay, but maybe he came from Buffalo, New York.
I got a ride from Mr. Bachner here.
Okay.
It's not my fault.
From Bachner's.
From
Bachner's. Okay.
Bachner's song
look,
cycle.
You know what? You want me to promote your show?
Oh, goodness.
Okay,
yes.
Over here. Swing that music. Who's going to be at 54 below?
No, I will not be.
You got it backwards.
You got it.
That's okay.
No.
Danny Bachner.
Bacher,
You know what? Or should I say Friars and friends trying to break into... So why? Why can you... Your mother and father are still saying, why?
Yeah, I decided senior year of college I was going to tell my parents that I was going to be a comedian, so I sat them down. I was like, I have something very important to tell you. And they're like, you're gay. And I was like, no, I want to be a comedian. And they were like, we'd rather you be gay. That's still an option.
So how hard is it to be a comedian? Wait, and you're a magician also?
Yeah.
Okay,
oh, yeah.
So you're on the bar mitzvah tour as a magician?
No, I'm out of that, thank God.
You got out of it.
I was bar mitzvah age when I was doing bar mitzvahs. That's how I really got started.
But you were a magician at that time?
Yes.
So now, I thought you were going to make him disappear because he arrived late. Okay, but So how hard is it? All joking aside.
Marcus,
I'll be nice to you in
It's a little hot.
I mean, I think it's a good. It's very hard, and I think it's good. If it was easy, then why wouldn't you? It's such a cool job. Like I get paid to tell jokes. That's awesome. So it's kind of good that it's hard.
Pay you?
They do, yeah, in favors and chicken wings, platters of jalapeno poppers.
Okay, I want to talk to the young lady from Arkansas. How hard is it? I mean, you've been you've been trying.
It's tough.
But you said to me prior to the show, you always knew at the age, as opposed to when he came out of the closet over here, that he wanted to be a comedian.
He's never going to get a date again.
Okay.
Or he'll get a lot more.
Or he'll get a lot more dates. True.
Keep guessing.
The closet was telling his parents from Lawrence. Okay, you knew that when you were 2 years of age in Arkansas that you wanted to be a...
I wanted to be a singer at 2. My whole family are all musicians. My dad's a church musician, a Lutheran minister of music, and I was singing. I always just wanted to be a singer, and then when I got into high school, I'm like, oh, I want to be an actor.
So what was your first performance? You know, as a professional.
As a professional?
Yes, as a professional.
Six Flags Great America.
Yes.
In Chicago.
There's a Six Flags in Mexico now.
So what were you doing over there?
I was doing a show, a country show.
A review.
Oh, yes. I was in college. That was my first professional show.
Executive producer, who I've been picking on.
Mr. Executive.
Okay, who we work out with together in the gym at the Friars. When did you decide that you wanted to get into this business?
This would have been probably later on. I mean, I've always been singing, right? I've always been singing. I've always had the American Songbook and jazz standards in my head, and I grew up with them. My mom played the piano as a kid, and she would always call me over and say, you got to know this song, you got to know this song.
So your parents were very influential on this?
Oh, my mom and my grandfather were huge influences. My sister was the one who told me to do the musicals in high school, otherwise I wouldn't have done that. She said, oh, you join the choir, do the musicals, it's fun. And so I did all that, and then, so by the time I graduated high school and college then, I had a degree in musical theater, I had thousands of standards in my head, and so that really the best option was to continue all that, was to move to New York.
But don't you get, we'll get Danny.
Yes.
When did you realize that you wanted to get into this business?
It was prenatal. No, I actually, it was
trying
for me.
to take from him?
He wrote the joke before. He said, "Try this," and I did it.
Oh, I'm not taking credit for that.
Anyway,
you look great.
Nice
jacket.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gotta have it back by 7. So, but no, seriously, I just I've always.
Sneakers, too.
Yeah, I know. We all got something.
best.
There, you know, got a pocket square just for you, Mr. Stoller.
Okay.
What was the question?
When did you decide
Where do
that
you get
you
your
wanted
socks?
to...
Oh, no, I was very young. And quite frankly, it's something that I've wanted to do for as far back as I can remember. I remember even starting in shows when I was 5 years old and doing some community, shows and things. And for me, it's been interesting because what got me interested in the entertainment business was actually comedy, film comedies, and we're talking old silent film comedies. My parents used to, this was before the days of VCR. My parents would get these old, film strips out of the library. My brother and I would watch them, and it began an entire misspent youth, of learning songs like the Great American Songbook.
But your brother is a performer like you, right?
That's right, but he doesn't do jazz music. He does more comedy and puppetry and stuff. But yeah, so it's really, it went from there, and then I've always kind of had the music thing I've done, and I got really into the music. And again, it was my grandparents that really got me interested in music of the Great American Songbook, listening to people like Ella Fitzgerald, Duke Ellington, Benny Goodman, Count Basie, and I was hooked. And when I was supposed to listen to things my age group was supposed to listen to, I just couldn't get into it. So, I spent a lot of time not with a big group in my school.
I mean, you recently came back from Los Angeles. New York City is the capital, entertainment capital of the world, right?
It is now.
Lying, the young lady? I mean, I want you on the show.
I thought you were asking her the question.
There may be a question.
I had to compensate for your closet joke.
I thought it was Memphis.
So my question is, you're all back here. This is the entertainment mecca of the world, okay? I'd say even better than Los Angeles. Okay?
Well, I would say I speak from the comedy experience, but this is the only place in the world to do stand-up comedy. I mean, New York is the only place that I know of where you can get up 15 times a week doing stand-up. I love LA. LA is great. The weather is amazing. But
roads are terrible. No,
Yeah, you do have to drive.
Agreed.
No.
But I can do 3, 4 shows. My record's 10 shows in a night. You could run. You get on the subway, taxi, steal a city bike, whatever you got to do to get to your spot. But piggyback on a homeless guy. But you get there and you do your spots, and that's how you get better as a comedian. Is just going in front of the audience and doing it.
There was one time, a number of years ago, there were the magazines, the stage magazines. How do you find jobs? How do you find jobs?
It's basically about who you know these days. It is. It's people work with you. They want to hire you again. They want to, and
work begets
sometimes,
work.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes there are auditions that you randomly walk into and you book it somehow, But I think usually it's more about who you know. I do.
Yeah. So I don't do as much of the musical theater thing anymore. But so as a band leader and a singer and songwriter, it is very much relationship based.
Yeah.
And getting to know. And once you, like you're saying, once you play these spots in New York, you develop relationships with the club owners and with the bookers and whatnot. And so they know your act. They get to see who you are. And whether it's meeting them because you sat in on another person's show or however you broke in, but you got out there, you got your stuff heard, you go to an open session, that would be the equivalent in the music world of doing like 5 or 6 spots a night.
You hit the jam sessions.
Jam session, hit the scene. That's how I started out. But all these trades that you're talking about I think they're online, and and I know a lot of actors do a lot of actors connection stuff.
Yeah.
And take classes with casting directors, and
Except you have to pay now.
We were talking before, Harrison, about an agent. Okay, he was saying that he has a really good agent who's a contemporary manager who's a contemporary of his, who's out there, who's working for a good organization that could be helpful.
Managers are very important. I've recently signed with a manager I've been working with for a year now, and it's really going great. We have a lot of things, obviously cooking, a lot of things we've already gotten, and that's been a terrific help in this business because, as I was talking with Harrison backstage, it really allows you to focus more on the art that you're trying to do, and it lets people that are experts at doing the business aspect and all that other, kind of rigmarole of showbiz. It's sort of like it's a member of the team. You need a team today, I think, to be as successful as you can be, because it's very, very difficult to do this by yourself.
Do you think it's easier today to break into entertainment than it was, let's say, 30 years ago when a number of our fellow Friars and others,
Well, I think that the thing is that you're not breaking into the same thing, because the whole entertainment thing is fractured. So everybody has their own little niche. So it used to be, back in the day, you had 4 networks to break into, and you had to break into one of those. Now you can start a web series, or you can be periscoping or tweeting. There's a million ways to break in, and everybody's trying to do it. So I think it's just as competitive, if not more competitive, but it's a fractured scene.
Okay, which is what Stewie Stone said to me. He said he believes it's easier for a young comedian to break in today. Even though you don't,
I think
perhaps
it's
a different way. It's a different word, okay?
Yeah.
Because before, one time they.
When you're competing with 3 cavemen.
No. Okay, when you.
I'm kidding. Well, one had the rocks. That was his gimmick. And Stewie had the stick and fire. They were like, "What? Fire?" It was a big thing.
Stewie.
We love Stewie, by the way. He would love that joke.
No, Stewie.
What do you think? I mean,
I think it's harder right now.
I need a straight person on this.
That's the guy.
I do think it's harder right now because, first of all, it's
more people
hard.
Are out there.
There's so many. Well, with the media, with everybody in their own little world, in their own little virtual world, they have things where you can just be seen by somebody and picked up and gone in a second, And for people who've been doing this their whole lives, it's a hard thing when you have the people who can just get rich quick or But I say kudos to them anyway. I think you have to
never do that. I mean, for me, if I can speak for myself as a performer, you don't go into this. I can't. All right, I won't speak for myself.
Can you speak
can
for
never.
me?
remember the team. Let them do it.
Oh, the team. Let them handle it. I'm just going to sit here and make art. Anyway, no. I
think it was him in 4 different voices.
Hello, I'm my manager.
How did you know that?
Well, right now, let's see what happens.
Yeah, that's what I just Bacher. Bacher is my manager.
Actually, it's the original, right? Bacher.
Sorry, let me get my secretary.
Hello, I'm the secretary. Why is it all the same number?
I want him to call him right now.
We all work from there. That's right.
It's like Michael Jackson.
Anyway, I was on a serious point here until I was so rudely interrupted. No, but
that was his agent. I don't know if you heard.
that was my agent.
That was him slipping into his agent.
I'm glad you recognized.
Let's get back to the point.
British.
The point I was going to say I don't remember my point. What the hell was it?
Go.
What were we
talking about? Getting into the business.
Yeah,
with
about that. So I said, I think that since the first time, or the first time since early Hollywood days.
You have to rent new jackets, that's all.
Is that all right? I got to rent new jackets. All right, I'll get my agent on that. Got it.
But also, you can amass 1 million followers on Twitter and make no money. That's the other thing is like, you could talk about getting famous, but also monetizing
the point I was going to make about the fame thing is that, obviously that's something you want success.
Forget fame. I wanted money. I want money. Forget this
no,
bullshit.
I'm saying that, but I think that you have to think of, as an artist.
Today's entire show was just him trying to make this point. You keep interrupting him.
I think it's a great idea. What the hell was I saying?
Jello.
Oh, okay, Jello. Well, anyway, if you notice, if you cook, all right, they have pomegranate. All right.
Nobody's
the point
gonna
I
know
was
what's
making
going.
about fame. Really, no one goes into this business because they're thinking. If they are, they're doing it for the wrong reason. They're going, I have to be famous. You do it because you have no choice.
Yeah.
You have to be
That's what
a
I was gonna
performer.
say. Yeah.
You get no joy out of life greater than when you're up on stage making people laugh.
Absolutely.
When I don't know, what is it you do? Yeah, right, anyway, you're a knitter.
Op-eds.
That's right. But my point is, and I think that today, just like the early days in Hollywood, when someone could go out there with a suitcase and a song, and all of a sudden make it big in the studio system, we have this frontier that's still, which is the internet and all the sort of possibilities.
Harrison brought up an interesting point with regard to Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And
What show was that on?
Before. I know you weren't here listening.
Oh.
Okay. But
Getting my point.
in reality, people, as I said, I'm on all this, and I try to promote, and I send up my shows and all the rest.
I saw those selfies, Stoller.
Oh,
No selfies.
Real sexy.
Okay, but Greenbaum.
Just the
duck face?
suspenders.
Do you tweet all your shows and everything?
I tweet. I started periscoping. That's like a thing now. It's where you live stream video from your phone.
From a submarine.
No, so that's Vine. Vine is like 6-second video, but Periscope is. It goes out to my Twitter followers, and they can watch literally a live stream whatever's coming through my phone.
Here's the point. Okay, I tweet.
That's the
and
inside of your pocket.
Okay, I never, and let's try to be serious on this. I tweet, and I never really read anybody else's tweets. Maybe I'm not there. I do go to Facebook, okay, because I post my shows and some of my articles, and I do read that. Instagram, I'm on, but I'm not really on. There are different people who utilize all of these. LinkedIn is more if you were really looking for a business job.
Yeah.
So what forms of social media do you think help your careers?
Oh, I think all of it can if you know how to use it.
Yeah,
you do. It's a very important and good tool. It really is. But you have to know what you're doing.
It's common. I think that because there's so many different outlets and social media outlets, the common tendencies and sort of temptation is to say, well, you want to do it all and see what sticks, but you can't do them all in the same way. And you have to realize that there is a way to tweet that's different than posting on Facebook. And you have to, if you don't adhere to those sort of accepted guidelines, then the people who are on Facebook or who are on Twitter, they won't follow you because you're not staying within the format and the way they communicate. It's almost like you're speaking a different language.
But another thing, which I did a show a couple of months ago on networking and marketing, and I had this one guy on who was talking about website optimization, which I believe is very important also.
And SEO, search engine optimization.
The search engine optimization is important because you know what? You want to be there, if you're a young comedian, let's say for Harrison, you want to be there, listed over there on the top of the list, okay? If you want to be a singer, actress, you'd like to catch it over there. So the words, the optimization is really important because people live by the internet, okay? And, it's truly important, I have YouTube, and in certain aspects I want to go to Vimeo because it's a better quality.
Right.
But not everybody uses Vimeo. So at one time, the Stoller Report was Reel, sir. We were on Reel, which was terrible. We were like in the ancient days, so all the shows are now. And I think the apps are important, so I think this is all over there. For example, how did you get recently into like 54 Below, which is a great venue?
Well, this was, like we were saying before, this is relationship-based. So over the years, I've gotten to know the people who are involved in the room, and they've gotten to know my act, and I think the way, all right, so you were talking about Stewie Stone before and the generational gap, right? So I think you hear this a lot, like the generations, you know, the older generations often say, oh, they got it so much easier than we had it. It's the uphill, the school both ways thing in the winter. With,
You know what, people, everybody has
Snow.
two different opinions, okay?
Right.
It's
Plus, we have to fight for attention because people have no
But
attention
I think it
spans
does
anymore.
balance out because as oversaturated as it may be, there are more outlets than there are. But I was talking with Joe Cirola about this very thing, and he was telling me about his day. He says, you know what you got to, he's giving me a little advice. He says, you know what you got to do? You got to go and you got to knock on the door. And this is how he used to do. He would knock on the door and he would make phone calls. And that's just not what we do.
Look,
anymore.
people don't make phone calls. You know, it's different ideas. But I do think, as Harrison was saying before, and I do think it's very important, you have to be seen. You have to be out.
Yeah.
You have to be. You know what? You can't expect people to come to you to get into the business.
You mentioned it too earlier today. I think that you need to be a very persistent performer nowadays. It's not the old days where you can sit down, have a sip of soda in a grocery store or something, and you're going to be discovered. You really have to be active in making sure that you're seen and that you, like you said before, creating your own situations. And that's so much of this business. And I tell a lot of musicians, younger people that come to me, what, do you have any suggestions? And I said, yeah, you got to work hard and you got to create your own situation.
And that's even if you have a team. Even if you have a team.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You have to still keep going.
You're not going to
Yeah.
get a team unless you've been your own team already.
It's
Right.
Because no team wants to start from scratch.
Well,
It's
And
developing.
now when you pitch stuff, it's not just, oh, the script's funny. You have to come in with the whole thing done because the technology exists for you to make your show for under, for $500 you can make a TV.
Right.
Expectations
But you
are much
have to,
higher.
as I said before, I consider successful people in business, life, and everything what I call TAP. Tenacity, adaptability, and perseverance. And I think that's the real key that you need in this business. You have to adapt. You have to change your act, perhaps. You have to change what you're doing. And, you have to adapt to the circumstance. I mean, like the show you're going to be in a couple of weeks. It's an unusual show, but it's something adapting over there.
What's so unusual about it?
What is the show?
What's the show about? Can you tell
It's
us
called
about
The
it?
Gold.
The goal?
The
Yes,
Gold.
It's about the Holocaust, and it's a musical.
A Holocaust musical.
Okay.
Another one.
I was working on one. They beat me to it.
No,
It's a
okay.
very good show. It's part of
and
the
Get in the shower, get in the shower.
Wow.
Don't turn
Okay.
it on, don't turn it on.
No,
I think
Sorry,
that was actually
no,
trademarked, so don't...
That's from mine. I don't know,
that's
I don't know how
yours.
yours
you know
goes.
what? It relates to.
There's a tap dance number you could die for.
It's coming. The kick line is
I'm
unbelievable.
waiting.
Listen to this. When I saw the show Fun Home, and I had the producers on my show, they said that 5 or 7 years ago, that show could not have made it. It would have never reached the level because the society has changed, the community has changed, the acceptance. And also, I think comedy has changed. Comedy of 25 years ago is totally different. Now, the irony is the two of you are on the Great American Songbook. You're still going back for the older things because certain people like that type of thing, but comedy has definitely changed.
Comedy, yeah. I study comedy history, and one of the reasons I joined the Friars Club too was that it represents comedy history. I
thought you wanted to be an undertaker of the Friars.
yes. No, I love the Friars.
I love it.
It's the only gym I've ever been to with an oxygen tank in the corner and a guy on a walker on a treadmill.
Oh,
It's
my
amazing.
gosh.
We have a computer, by the way, that is slower than a friar getting
have
out of
a
a chair.
computer?
A computer.
Whoa.
One.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's really good.
No,
The dial-up.
No, but you know when you're bringing up the Friars, do you think an organization like the Friars has been helpful to the three of you? I mean, Jen, you have to join. There's a need.
Is this my hazing?
This actually isn't even being filmed. This is just a ploy to
Oh,
get you
no.
to join the club.
Okay, I'm ready.
We need blondes. We
Okay.
need blondes.
I am.
That was
You're at a game
we
show
find
called
out she's
Fool
a
the Shit
brunette.
Stuff. Yeah.
Pretty easy.
Getting back to
Those apples aren't
getting
real.
back
That's
to the
all.
question. Getting back to the question.
Yeah. Well, Friars Club fits into what you were saying before about the idea of meeting people, networking. I also think there's a lot to learn from people like Stewie and those guys who are there. And
It's a great form, and what it represents
amazing.
historically to me has always been like a real. I know we've talked about this historically. It's just this great, this wonderful wealth of information and stories and wonderful people. And I live for that because I love, where we come from is you got to remember where you come from, and we're coming from an era. And how do we take that and make it fresh and new?
But you're in an era, and we brought this up in the show before that I taped with regard to millenniums. What do millenniums want to hear?
Millennials? They want to be part of, as far as, I mean, I've been pitching shows where you're trying to appeal to millennials, and they want to, I think they want to interact. Like they want, they're on Facebook, they're on Twitter, they're interacting with everything. Is what they have to say that important? Sometimes it's not, but they think that it's all about incorporating, like at midnight on Comedy Central, where you tweet at the show, or all these things where like there's digital platforms where they don't even have cable. They're watching it on their own. They're paying for subscriptions to watch the content that they specifically want. So it's really targeted, and it's really about that.
But do millenniums go to 54 Below?
Oh, they do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially if they're in the theater world.
I mean, I mean, I guess it's like Harrison was saying. If you connect with your fan base, and you know what they're looking for, then...
How do you keep in touch with your fan base today?
That's where the social media comes back.
That's what it is.
But I would say the reason they go to 54 Below is we're so digital now that I think the trend is these live experiences, because that's what we're not having anymore.
And you can't replace
Which is
that.
coming back,
Any
too.
concert, even though if it's streamed, people, it's human nature. We want to go out. We want to be social. We want to be around other people. And even though you can get a show live streamed to your computer, and artists are doing concerts specifically out of the loft, somewhere in an apartment and whatnot, but people still want to be out, and they want to experience a live moment.
Here's another question. Okay, we have viewers, and we have viewers over there. On these
2 for 1 deal.
How 2 for 1? They're sold on Amazon over there.
Buy mine, you get
90.
Was there a deal? There's a bargain.
Shipping and handling is very cheap. Okay. How many people go for actual? They go stream. How many people?
I mean, this is simple. This discussion is being had all over the country, all over the world right now, and I can tell you that, to just cut to the chase, we're all just a race to streaming. That's right now. That's the only thing. 2 things you can confidently say right now where we're at. We are a race to streaming, and I say this as a songwriter and as a recording artist and singer. Race to streaming, and then no one really has an idea of where we're going.
But I got to jump in, though. There are still markets. Like, for example, when you're touring in Europe, they want the tangible product. And especially when you're dealing with an older, because we have, in our kind of music, you've got everything from, 10 to 85. And there's going to be people that don't know what streaming is.
I'm talking about trends, though.
Vinyl, 78s.
No,
that's coming back. Vinyl.
Actually, vinyl is.
Vinyls are coming back. It's a big item.
VHS will never come back.
No,
Yes,
it will
Wait,
not.
hold on. No. Okay. I promise that I like this group. I'm going to bring you back. The 15th season begins in September, and I make a promise, and he knows I hold back. I do it, with the exception of Harrison.
Whoa!
I'm going, including Harrison.
All right.
Yeah.
I guess you're not getting tickets to the opening night of my Holocaust musical.
You just got words.
So I'd like to thank Harrison.
I want to audition.
Jen,
Are you kidding?
Danny.
Oh, I got a part for it.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
And Marcus. Go visit them, see their sites, visit their websites. I love them. See you next week.